prisoner intentionally wrapped a rope around his finger and then lied to the guard, saying he needed to use the bathroom. Though the guard agreed, he instructed the prisoner to keep shaking a branch while using the restroom to make sure he wouldn't try to escape. Even so, the guard kept his gun trained on the prisoner, and if there was any silence, he would fire a warning shot. The man dared not stop, forced to keep shaking the branch. At the same time, he tied the rope to the branch. After a while, although it looked like the branch was still shaking from a distance, the guard still sensed something was wrong. He fired directly at the man's position, but there was no response. The guard approached to check and saw a long rope tied to the branch, but the man had disappeared. At that moment, Mark had already escaped to a nearby village. He borrowed an axe from a child and chopped off his shackles. Before leaving, he borrowed chili powder and black pepper, sprinkling it along his escape route. When the guards and their dogs arrived, the dogs were overwhelmed by the pepper and lost their sense of smell, unable to continue the chase. A few days later, while the other prisoners thought Mark had successfully escaped, he was caught and brought back. As punishment, he was locked in solitary confinement for a whole month, but this did nothing to stop Mark's determination to escape. During a holiday celebration, all the prisoners were singing and having fun, but Mark blatantly sawed through the floor. He wasn't worried that the noise would alert the guards, since the celebration was loud enough to cover his movements. When the bell rang, the guards began their rounds. Mark had already dug a hole, and his cellmate quickly pulled out a hidden magazine to distract the guards' attention. Mark slipped through the hole, and another prisoner followed him. This prisoner, acting as a decoy, ran straight for the fence and started climbing the barbed wire, drawing everyone's attention. Though he suffered some pain, it created the conditions for Mark to escape. The guards noticed and immediately sent the dogs to chase. By then, Mark had already run far. To throw off the dogs, he kept jumping in and out of a section of wire fence. When the guards and dogs arrived, the dogs kept crossing the fence and completely confused the guards. Mark kept running through ditches, tirelessly fleeing, as if freedom had given him endless energy. Eventually, Mark wore out the dogs chasing him, and they collapsed from exhaustion. The other prisoners saw the dead dogs and thought Mark had successfully escaped this time. But to their surprise, a few days later, Mark was captured and brought back. After 2 escape attempts, the guards intensified their punishment of Mark. They made him fill in a hole over and over again. Only a few days later, Mark begged the guards for mercy, promising he would never try to escape again. At that point, the warden walked over, seeing they had achieved their goal, and finally let him go. When Mark returned to his cell, the other prisoners no longer greeted him like a hero. Mark understood their feelings, but he didn't say anything. The next day, Mark seemed like a different person. He responded to the guards' calls with an unnatural enthusiasm, becoming the kind of person he had once despised. But the truth was not like that.